Welcome back for another trade review. Today I'm going to be looking over a few different things. I'm going back to last Friday, which on the screen you can see Intel. On Friday, I took Intel to the downside. Well, I attempted it, and that wasn't working out. However, I got stubborn. You'll see it in a second. I'll go through it, and it just turned into kind of a snowball effect, and the losses just kept coming and coming and coming. I finally pressed the brakes, told myself, I got to stop. This is obviously not working. I'm not looking at the big picture anymore. When Apple came to my rescue and decided to break and retest previous day high and shoot through the all-time highs. And then I'll go over my SoFi trade that I took earlier today. That was kind of a slow mover, but it played out almost exactly how I wanted it to. Just took a little longer than expected. But first, we're going back to Friday. So if I go back into replay mode here and I go back to Thursday, here's what I was looking at originally. So this setup here, on Thursday night, I was going through doing my nightly scanning, and I ended up putting an alert at the previous day low here. So I was looking for a break and retest of the previous day low to possibly trade down to this daily 20 EMA. At first, I thought that was working out perfect. This purple line here, before I go any further, let's go down to this, let's see here, we'll go to the 30 minute. Let me turn off these levels for now, just to get rid of some of the noise. This purple level is around 106, which as you can see, that was broken through and then came back and we touched 106, let's see, once, twice, kind of close to it, 3 times. And that was a level that I saw that had a lot of engagement with it. So that was a level of interest. So I wanted to make sure I had that marked off. Mainly because I didn't really want to get stuck into a trade entering around this level, slightly above it, and then bouncing off of it and possibly reversing, kind of like we did back here on May 6th. So if I go back to the daily, I had that previous day low set up. And I set my alert. My alert ended up going off. So then I went to the 5 minute. And let's see here. I will play this through pretty quick here. I'll let this play out. I'm also going to turn my levels back on. So there's the day's price action. And here is what I did. So I saw this price break pre-market low. You can see previous day low is up here at this red line here. This is the line that I set. There's previous day low. We opened up underneath previous day low. So I knew we were weak. So what I did was I waited for a break, and I don't even have it saved anymore, but I got this break here and that I actually entered on a 1 minute candle. So if I go to the 1 minute, so we got this break and then a retest, and this retest is not anywhere as clean as I like to see. On the 1 minute, there's way too much noise. I got rid of it. You're going to see in a second why I got rid of it. But I will not be trading on anything lower than the 5 minute from here on out. Just, it's way too messy. So what I ended up doing was this dump right here. I entered in the middle of one of these red candles here. I entered around here, which, as you can tell, is kind of in the middle of this range here, this pre-market low, and then this major level of around 106 that I have marked out. So I entered around here, so terrible entry. And then, as you can see, we came down, didn't touch that level. I was kind of waiting for us to break that level. In my mind, I was convinced. I was like, okay, we're going to go, and we're going to break this 106 area, and we're really going to flush. The market's weak. It's all playing out. We're going to go down to the daily 20 EMA. Well, that never really happened. We came close, but then we just kept going back and forth. So what I did was I waited through all of this. I did not trim anything. I was so convinced it was going to work. Did not trim anything. This wick happened so fast, I completely missed it. However, it wasn't anything crazy anyways. It was really, I don't know, I think I was up 10% at that point. So nothing. And then we came back up and started closing above pre-market low. And here is where I cut the position. And this is where it really got ugly. So what I did here, I cut this position for a loss. This was around an 8% loss. I then saw price breaking above this pre-market low, and I decided Okay, this is now a level of interest here. We just broke above pre-market low. We must be reversing. We must have came down here to this 106 level, and now we're reversing off of it. So we're heading back up. Okay, we got a break. We got a retest. I entered calls here now. So I flipped to the bullish side, entered calls here. It seemed like it was working. I actually really liked this consolidation here. We were staying above pre-market low. I thought, okay, I'm going to give this some time. This might actually work out. And then we broke back below pre-market low. And this is where I cut this position. So this was another, not a big loss. It was around 5 or 6%. It was pretty small. However, at this point, emotionally, I was not doing very well. Just two red trades in a row on the same stock. I was just kind of spiraling. So what did I do? Well, I flipped again. Yep, I flipped. I flipped to the bearish side. So I waited for a break. Here was the break. Here was a not so clean retest. And I entered puts again, but I entered around here. I think it was during this candle here. This candle here. But you can see this wick. During this wick, I cut it because I did not want to allow myself to go through all of this all over again. Sure, it would have worked out. I had a feeling once we broke under pre-market low, I thought, you know what, we're probably going to trade from pre-market low down to this purple line here, this 106. And that's kind of exactly what we did. We came somewhat close down to 107, but so this would have worked out and would have kind of helped my red day. However, I did not want to be so far away from my rules that I'm basically just doing whatever I wanted. Whatever came to my mind, I was just doing it. And I didn't want to let that continue anymore. So I just cut it immediately for another loss. And this is when I stopped myself. I walked away from the screens just for a minute. And the only reason I came back was because my Apple alert went off. Right before that alert went off, I stopped myself and I was looking at the daily on Intel here. I was looking at the daily. I saw, okay, you know what? Like we had kind of the right idea. However, it gapped down. So some of that price action I was looking for, it's kind of gone. We might be coming back up to fill that gap there, going back up to the daily 90 MA. We're bouncing off of this 106 level. So this was another major level here that buyers are just really stepping up. So we had generally the right idea, big picture, but I was letting that 1 minute chart just completely flip my idea. So I stopped myself. I kept telling myself, I know I have to trade trending stocks, and that's not something I'm doing right now. This is not a trending stock. This is a stock that gapped down. The move happened overnight, so I kind of missed. My thesis here was correct. We broke previous day low. However, it happened overnight, so I couldn't have caught it, which is totally fine. That's going to happen in the market. Kept telling myself, I need to stick to trading trending stocks. I need to stick to trending stocks. If it's not trending, I should not be messing around with it. And this is when Apple came to the rescue. So Apple here, this is Friday. You can see we broke above previous day high, kind of this range here at this 300 level. So a psych level on top of all that. And if I go to let's see here, if I go to the 5 minute is what I entered on. So my alert went off. The yellow line there is previous day high. And as you can see, we broke and we retested this yellow line previous day high twice. And here's where I entered. I entered pretty light to start and I waited for us to get above this purple line here because the yellow line is previous day high. But if I go back to the daily, the higher level in this consolidation range here is from Wednesday. So not the Thursday, not the day before. So I knew once we got above this consolidation, these highs here, that's when I was really getting interested. So we broke, we retested, and then I entered my full position on this candle here once we were above it. And this resulted in a 103% profit, completely erasing the losses I took before, and made me feel much better about my trading. I was able to follow my rules. This is the exact setup I need to be looking for every single day, not the chop, not the range plays back and forth and flip-flopping my ideas. I need to keep this big picture idea, and if it's there, I need to trade that idea. I need to stop letting these lower time frames dictate what happens, my positioning intraday. I need to cut that out. That's got to absolutely stop. I'm looking big picture. If that big picture's playing out, that's what I'm going to trade. If it's not, I'm not going to flip-flop. And all of a sudden, if big picture's bullish, I'm not going to flip and turn bearish. I'm going to stick to the big picture. So that was Friday. Ended up a great day. I felt good walking away from the charts, knowing that if I keep my losses small, even though it might be a couple losses in a row, 2, 3, 4 losses in a row, I know that the big green trades can overcome those smaller losses. It was a pretty flat day because I chose not to size up in this Apple trade because my confidence was just kind of shot. So it was a pretty flat day. I didn't really make a ton of profit money-wise, but I followed my rules this time around, and that is really what I'm focusing on. One thing I really wish I caught, which was an even better move, was this 5-minute structure here, this break. So instead of just saying that this candle is the break and then the retest on these immediate candles, looking at this entire move, this entire section is the break. So this is one big break, and then we came back down and retested this level almost perfectly. Look at all these wicks on this purple line here at that 300 area. That 300 psych level was such a big level. So we retested that multiple times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. 6 times with a retest. I would have loved to have attempted this again. Going from that 300 level all the way up to 303, this would have been a monster payday. It would have been fantastic. So that's the second entry. This is another reason if you have FOMO, there are multiple entries. So it's okay if you miss this immediate candle. There's a chance that it might come back. Just watch the price action around the level and see if buyers are stepping in, which they did here, and we pushed higher. So that's Friday. Then today, I'll get out of preview or the replay mode rather. Then today, if I go to the daily on SoFi, I had this consolidation low marked out. That's the first red line. And then I also had the lows of this kind of consolidation area back here around this March 30th to April 2nd, around that area. These lows I had marked off. And as you can see, that level was respected almost perfectly. That there, what was that line? 93. This low was 92. 1 penny off. So very close. We respected this level beautifully. If we broke, we would have absolutely flushed. However, that's not really what I was looking for. I was just looking for a piece of the move. So if I go to the 5-minute, my alert went off. Previous day low. We broke. Previous day low. Alert went off. We flushed. We come back up. We start to retest. However, this retest on the 5-minute, didn't really love it. This looks just like that 1 minute on Intel from Friday. So I did not take it here. I actually went to the 10-minute to see if it was any cleaner looking. And as you can see, we had a break and then a retest. This candle here made me a little nervous. This looks like we are wicking right off of that first consolidation low. So that made me a little nervous. However, look at this next candle staying right underneath previous day low. I loved that. Honestly, if I was confident, if this wick didn't really scare me, I would have entered here and it would have paid out even more. But what I did was I waited for us to break that first consolidation low. So I waited for this break, this retest. I entered here and then I rode it all the way down to the other consolidation low, that 1493. And this played out perfectly. It did take some time, so I entered at 10:10 and then I didn't take my full profit until around 11:10, so literally a perfect hour. So it was a slow grind and I really had to trust my level. But ended up paying out, I think this was around 43%. Not the quickest mover. That's an hour move right there, but trusting the levels is such a key component of my trading, and that's what I chose to do. So there's my trade recap from last Friday, and then today, which is Tuesday. Didn't make any trades yesterday. I didn't really have any alerts go off. I think maybe coin alerted, but I think it bounced right off the level, so I never got to close, a break, and retest. But this is what I'm looking for every single day. It's really nice when it's working out. It makes me a lot more confident, but I have to stick to the big picture. That's kind of the biggest lesson that I learned from Friday to today. I think I always kind of knew that, but intraday, there's a lot going on intraday when you're looking at those lower time frames. There's just a lot of noise. So I've been integrating some of the 15-minute time frames just to help me out. A little bit of the 30-minute time frames. However, I trade on the 5 and 10-minute just because I do want to catch the move, and sometimes the 30-minute, it's a little too difficult for me to read and see how the stock's moving. But here you can see the 15-minute on Intel, pretty nice break and retest a previous day low, and then we flushed perfectly off of previous day low. So that was honestly, that seems like one of the more major levels rather than the low of this consolidation. But you can also see this, the high of this wick here rejects it almost perfectly, almost to the penny there. Yeah, so 1 penny off there from that high. But trusting my levels, sticking to the daily bias here. So here, this is bearish because we're underneath all these EMAs. So I'm looking to trade to the downside. Same thing with Apple last week. This is above all the EMAs, so I'm looking to trade it to the upside. I am bullish on Apple. And then Intel is where I really got sloppy, got in between these EMAs, and I was just all over the place, flip-flopping back and forth, and that is something that is detrimental to becoming profitable. So I'm going to get that out of my trading, get that out of my system, and moving forward, just sticking to the big picture. Thanks for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow me on X at SmokeyBlue018, and I'll see you in the next trade review. See ya.